Hey guys, this is Camfrey15 and I'm back at it with another video for you guys, and this is a Supergirl season 5 review for you guys. Sorry I did not do a Supergirl review for the last episode, which was episode 11. At the time I was busy doing that. I was busy doing other things, so I couldn't make a video on that one. But I am here to make Supergirl episode 12, and that is the two-parter, Back to the Future when Winn showed up and stuff like that, and I had to take care of Toyman. Anyways, let's get off with talking about this episode that happened last night. But anyways, what happened last night, the episode started off with Kara, Winn, Alex, and John. They're all at the bar. I'm just chilling, having a good time, and then they talk, and we do find out that Winn's Legion name is called Computer Lab, and everyone else like laughs at it and makes fun of his name. They're like, Computer Lab, what the hell? He's like, hey, I gotten used to it, after hearing it for some time. Then William shows up at the same bar where Kara and the others are at because she invited him. And essentially he says, like, I never thought there was like karaoke or whatever. So essentially him and Kara do karaoke, and they kind of have a nice little riff raff. While those two are doing karaoke, John and Alex talk, and essentially Alex says, like, yo, sorry for that, guys. Sorry for that. I probably should have kept my thing on, my ringer off. But, essentially Alex says, that she has a spyware going on to monitor Lex to see what he's currently doing because of, the things he's been doing. And from the aspect, you can't trust a Luthor. So, yeah, essentially, she uploaded a spyware on the DO internet, so it's essentially, making sure that Lex is in check. John does tell her that he is worried about her, that she is doing something like that because it's Lex Luthor. You don't know what he could do next. Anyways, it cuts back to what Brainy's doing, and then Brainy gets a call from Lex, and essentially Lex, asks, like, thank you for giving me the file about Jenna Cooper. And then he also makes reference of telling Brainy that, look, I know Alex is tracking me. Put a stop to it before I do, essentially to her. And essentially Lex also asks Brainy, like, there's nothing going on right now, is there? And Brainy's like, no, there is nothing going on right now at the DEO. But then, sooner or later, after he's done calling him, these drones start attacking Brainy. Alex gets the call to go to the DEO, and basically Kara has to leave, but in the moment Kara's leaving, William asks her out on a date. Kara kind of gets a little bit of cold feet, and she's like, before she kind of gives the answer to his question, Winn basically tells her, look, you gotta go, and they were coming up with certain things, not to reveal her identity to William. And essentially, she comes up with the excuse of saying, oh yeah, I have a sick grandma and stuff like that, and I gotta go. So anyways, they stop the drones, and essentially Winn thinks Toyman is the cause of the drones attacking because there's like this little crazy melody going on. Essentially, we do find out that Toyman accessed into the DO laptop, and he wanted the obsidian lens, and so he could have access to the whole wide world. But right now he's on the DO internet, so he can basically control whatever is going on in the DEO. So anything that's technology related or connected to the internet at the DEO, he's able to access it. He wants the DEO to take down the firewall they have up so he can, upload himself on the World Wide Web. So essentially he can start attacking and killing people, essentially. Because that's his plan, just to access the world's internet and stuff like that. Now, the others don't. Well, obviously Supergirl, Winn, and Alex does not want that to happen, so they try to prevent that. Now it cuts to Lex, and essentially, I believe he's calling Brainy on this, and Lex basically tells Brainy, like, oh, Toyman, I knew he was gonna go do what he was gonna do, and essentially he wants Brainy to essentially copy the file of the code Toyman's using, so they can use it to find a way to beat Leviathan. So on obviously, Brainy's doing more shady work for Lex. Even though he knows his friends, especially Kara, isn't going to be happy with that. So anyways, it cuts to Miss Rojas, and she's like eating in some restaurant. She eats the shrimp or lobster, as she said. It was like lobster, I think she said. And essentially, she looks like she's gonna die from it, like it was poison or something. She later wakes up and reveals it was like some kind of obsidian dream sequence. And essentially, it looks like they're trying to virtually, like, make people eat when you use the obsidian lens. Like, you're eating a food and you actually gain the nutrients, which is a pretty interesting device. Like, if the world can actually come up with that, Jesus, you could possibly save world hunger if you think about it. If you can make virtual food that you eat and you can gain the nutrients from that, which would be some kind of next level technology. I don't even know what the science would have to do to go into that one. Essentially, we do see Kelly, even though she's like in this one scene, and essentially the obsidian platinum device is not ready. Lena eventually tries to talk to her, and she requests like, "Hey, let L Corp work with you to help the obsidian's the obsidian platinum lens start working." And Miss Rojas essentially turns that offer down because she's like, "Well, you see, the last few times we've worked together, even in business relationships, it hasn't ended well, and we lost a friendship because of it." So essentially, she turns that down. It cuts back to what the DEO is doing, and essentially what Kara and the others are doing. The DEO, and essentially they have to find the server where the Toyman is using and shut them down, essentially deleting them so he can't upload himself to the internet. Winn and Kara do stop a bit and they do talk, and Winn's like, I saw William try to ask you out on a date, and essentially Kara kind of tells Winn, like saying like she doesn't know if she feels that sort of way about William, if she likes him, and she also feels like she can't go out with him because she feels like because of the issues that happen with Lena, she feels like if she keeps another secret from someone she cares about slash I guess loves, she feels like she's gonna end up hurting them again, and then they're gonna turn out on him. Now, Winn does say, well, who knows what could happen? You just got to take baby steps one at a time when it comes to relationships. You don't have to tell William straight up, like, you're Supergirl. You can tell him, sometime. It's just stuff like that. So that was kind of the side plot of this week's episode, along with a little bit of what Lex was doing. Lex and Lena were doing this episode. That was kind of the side plot. I'll talk more about that when I'm cleaning up this review. But anyways, as they're trying to do the server issue, Winn's dad shows up on one of the screens, and he said, and essentially he was like, "Well, I saw the other one doing this shady stuff and stuff like that, and now he's trying to do this on a scale that I would have never even thought of doing." So he also tries to tell Winn, like, "Look, you can trust me. I'm going to help you." Winn does not trust him at all because of the past incidents his dad had with him, and stuff like that. Now it later cuts to now Lex and Lena have some talk of saying that Lena couldn't get the job done. She couldn't get Andrea to essentially cooperate with them. Then Lex is like, "Oh, don't worry, I got a good plan." So he meets up with Jenna Cooper, and essentially he kind of, I would say, goats her into agreeing, making Miss Rojas later agree to work with LexCorp on the Obsidian Lens tech. So yeah, now it cuts back to what Alex is doing. She's looking on her pad, obviously, to see what Lex is doing, and she sees that Brainy was in her account having access to it, and that essentially he shut it down. she gets really upset at Brainy, and Brainy kind of tells her, like, in the nonchalant way of not telling her that he's working with Lex, he kind of tells her, like, look, I just want you to be safe. Who knows what Lex could do to you if he finds out, what you're doing, even though Lex does know what he's doing. He's just trying to trying not to tell Alex that he's really working with Lex. So, anyways, it cuts back to what Rojas is doing, and Jenna Cooper shows up, and she's like, "Look, I trusted you on this. How could you turn down the Luthers?" And she's like, "But me and Lena, we don't work to get well together." Jenna later says, like, "I don't give a crap. You either do this, or maybe I was wrong about trusting you this entire time." So essentially, she calls Lena, and she's like, "Okay, that's fine," and she gives in. So Lex gets what he wants, like he always does, because he manipulates the situation all the time. So essentially, it comes back to Dio. Winn realizes he has to go digital to essentially stop Toyman, or his opposite, his evil self. Then, Toyman gets access to more technology, and we do find out that the Dio holds some Lex suits. Um, Now, Toyman's using the Lex suits to break out of the Dio, since the Dio's on lockdown. He's trying to break them out so they can access, the internet worldwide. And essentially, things happen. Winn goes in digitally, and essentially he fights his other self. While at the same time, his dad's like in a prison. He's like, let me out, I can help you." Winn doesn't trust him, but eventually, when it looks like all hope is lost, Winn eventually opens the door. The dad kind of stops the other Winn, and essentially Winn deletes both his dad's file and the other Toyman's file, his evil self's file, and essentially he gets out of there, and he realizes that his dad was actually a good guy when he needed him to be a good guy. It cuts then to Lena, who's working on the Obsidian Platinum tech, and essentially Lex gets a hold of her, even though she says there's no way you could access, me in my work area. Essentially, she thanks Lex for doing it in kind of a, like, I could care less and stuff like that. And essentially, Lex is like, look, we're just doing this so we can beat Leviathan. Don't try to get mad at what's going on. Plus, we're partners. So, yeah. So essentially, Lex is doing more shady business and stuff like that. So we all know where that's eventually going to go. Jenna Cooper, because of Jenna Cooper and that old lady we've been seeing the past couple of episodes this season, even the last episode of season 4. And essentially, Jenna Cooper essentially says, like, look, we got the Luthers right in the palms of our hands where we want them. So obviously, Leviathan's preparing for what the Luthers are going to do. It cuts to Winn, Kara, Alex, Brainy, and John. And essentially, they're like, well, they're saying their final goodbyes to Winn as he leaves. And Winn, essentially, he changes his Legion name to Toyman because he feels like, instead of Toyman being bad, he wants to use the name as good in honor of his dad. So, yeah. Anyways, as the episode ends off, before Winn later says his final goodbyes, he does tell Kara's like, well, what's she gonna do? And Kara basically like, okay, I'm just gonna do it, and I'm gonna take it one step at a time. So he goes off, he leaves, and Winn is gone. I will say it was cool to see him again because it's been so long since we've seen Winn the actor. So whenever they bring back like old characters of Supergirl, it is really cool to see. So anyways, it cuts to Catco, and obviously Kara looking all nice and dressed up in a nice red dress. She's looking good. She walks up to William's desk, and she's like, hey, I wanted to talk to you for a bit. And then William actually pulls out like this puzzle piece set, and she's like, oh, and he's like, oh, this is for your, sick grandmother. And he's like, well, when my grandma was sick, puzzles usually helped them get better. And that's when some guilt started to feel inside Kara, and then she eventually And when William eventually somewhat asks her again, like, "Hey, you want to talk to me about something?" and she kind of turns him down. She says, like, "I'm sorry, William, but I don't feel that type of way about you," even though she kind of does. She kind of just thinks, because she looks at the puzzle piece set and she's like, "Well, shoot, I'm lying to him." And yeah, so she turns him down and she's like, "Well, I guess I'll see you around," and stuff like that. So far, Kara's love life is not going to be hitting off with William, and I know not a lot of people are supportive of their little ship they got going on, but it's whatever. I guess my thoughts are, well, yes. Well, even Alex and her talk about it in her house a bit, and essentially she's like, "Well, I just don't want to lie to him, and I don't want him to be hurt like I hurt Lena." And then Alex was like, "Well, who knows what happens? The same thing could have possibly happened if you had told her earlier. She could have felt some sort of way. You never know." I guess my thing on the take of this love thing going on, this possible relationship between Kara and Lena. I mean, not Kara and Lena. Kara and William. I think what's going to happen is they will hook up if nothing happens to him by the end of the season and he doesn't leave. Um, if he doesn't leave Supergirl, like the show, I would say I could see by the end of the episode, them two possibly hooking up and going out. That's where it's looking like it's going. It looks like they're going to take the baby step approach where, every now and then when they're together, they have these romantic moments which bring them closer together. And then I think by the series finale, Kara's going to have to be like, "You know what? I'm going to take a chance on this." And she's going to want to go out with William, and, they're a couple. Out of all the DC TV shows, superhero shows, she is like, Supergirl is the most complicated things when it comes to relationships because Jesus, you have these characters that get together where, it looks like they should end up together for good, and then they end up together only to break it off after like a few times, like, Brainy and Nia's relationship. That was like on for like a couple of episodes from last season and this season, and they broke it off because of Brainy's little plot. Same thing with Kara. She's literally the most dysfunctional out of all the heroes on this show that had, two main shows which were Arrow and Flash, which had which had different relationship partners, and never end up hooking up. And yes, that's probably because, well, I haven't read the comics. I don't know if Supergirl in the comics has hooked up with anybody, but I'm guessing whenever she hooks up with somebody, hopefully she can stay in a relationship. I'm not saying like stay in a relationship till marriage, but have a nice little arc where you're like, "Oh, that's nice and cute," and stuff like that. She's right now like the one character who's always hinted at getting a possible relationship. They just never continue. But I do believe by the end of the season, her and William will more than likely hook up at the end of the season because she's gonna just totally be like, "You know what? Screw it. Who cares what Lena thinks about stuff like that? I gotta be me. I can't just let past relationships about feelings about guys I like dictate certain things." And plus, trust me, at some point she's going to have to tell William if she hooks up with him that she's Supergirl. Now, the question is, will she tell him before they hook up? Like, she's like, "Look, I really want to go out with you, but I just got to tell you something. Like, I'm Supergirl. I want this thing to work out, and I don't want you to be mad at me if I were to hide it from you because I hurt Lena, and I didn't tell her that I was Supergirl, and now she doesn't like me for it." So who knows where this William Kara love story is gonna go. At first I was like shaking on it, and I still kind of am. They kind of did hint at the fact that they two would be hooking up because they had some kind of beef at the start of the season. But who knows where this love story between William and Kara is going to end up. Like I said, my prediction is Kara and William will hook up by the end of the season, with Kara possibly telling William that she loves him and that she's Supergirl. So obviously keep a close eye for that stuff, for the next episodes to come. Brainy does end up giving Lex the Toyman code, and he is also now given the DO director. He is now the DO director because we find out that Alex essentially resigns because she can't work for Lex. She can't work for him and stuff like that because she doesn't like Lex. And anyways, the episode ends off essentially when, like I said, Kara and Alex were talking about, the fact that she turned down William's offer, and talked more about the Lena stuff. And essentially, Mr. Mizzlepillick shows up at Kara's front door, and that's when the episode ends. So next week is Supergirl's 100th episode, and it's looking like she's going to go back in time to fix things, I guess, between her and Lena. Now, in the trailer, it says she's going to go back to the very beginning. So where that goes, who knows? I feel like this whole thing's going to fail, and who know? I feel like this whole thing's going to fail, or she's going to see that regardless of the outcome of whenever she tells Lena, Lena's still gonna feel some sort of way and still be hurt. So we'll see where it's going on. It looks like it's gonna be a very interesting, Supergirl 100th episode. And usually with the CW shows, their 100 episodes of their shows, they usually end up being pretty good. This episode was a good episode. It wasn't the best, but it was really good. It closes off Winn's story, I guess, unless he makes any more appearances later on. But it's a nice little wrap up to Winn's story because, we're really not going to see the actor that plays him anymore and stuff like that. So, yeah. Other than that, I'm going to get out of here. If you like this video, leave a like. If you want to put a comment section, would you like this episode where you think what Lex is going to be doing? Also, where do you think where this Kara William love story side plot is going? And also put in the comment section what are your thoughts, and are you hyped for the next week's episode, which is the 100 Supergirl episode? And also hit that subscribe button if you want to get more CW content. I do the Flash, which I'm going to make that video tomorrow for their review because it's going to be a big episode, as well as I will do Batwoman and Black Lightning season thoughts when those seasons eventually wrap up. So yeah, other than that, I'm gonna get out of here. So this is Cam315, and I'm signing out. Hopefully you guys have a great day. Peace.